Hello everybody and welcome. I'm Smitty and today I have for you a guide for the Mage Tower during Legion Timewalking for the Fury Warrior. Peace out, Agatha. So here is the tier, the reskin of the tier set from Tomb of Sargeras. Looks pretty good. This is one of the things you'll get along with the achievement for completing it. I think it looks really good. So first of all, let's talk about gear. So you run just your basic normal stats. Honestly, I'm not a very good Fury Warrior, so I'm not even sure what those are. I really liked haste just to lower the cooldown of my bloodthirst and things like that, because I'll get into the fight what was critical for me and critical for me to win, but my Fury Warrior damage was abysmal to say the least. However, you can marathon it and win, and I'll talk about exactly how to do that once we go over the kill clip. So the next thing I want to talk about is consumables. For my Fury Warrior, I found it very important to use. Like I mentioned before, my gear was pretty bad. I didn't really have much to pick from, so I did the best I can. Oh, and I do want to say I did farm the PvP trinket by doing 2 battlegrounds. That lines up really well with Bladestorm and Recklessness every minute, and that was really nice for me, just to give me some extra strength, and it had some passive haste on there as well. So consumables, I was just running Spectral Flask of Power, but I think you even get even more if you use the BFA ones, if I'm not mistaken. I was running Haste Food, have drums, of course, sharpening stones. I use those on each weapon. And lastly, I had some potions of Unbridled Fury, which actually did quite a bit of damage. Let me see. I'm not sure. Here's one example. So 3% of my damage, and this is probably a death anyway. Let's see if I can find an actual kill. Yep, here's the kill, I think. So it did 5% of my damage for pressing one button, but I was able to use it twice during the encounter. Next, let's talk about talents. Oops, let's see here. Sorry about that. So this is a Wildhead guide that I use as a baseline, but I am going to talk about these talents because I ran a little bit different than what you're going to see here. Very similar, but a little bit different. So I did run fresh meat on the 15 row, the first row here, mainly because every time you bloodthirst first, it automatically gives you an enrage and increases your chance to trigger enrage, and that was really critical, especially for dealing with ads. When a new ad spawn, I would try to bloodthirst first for the increased damage, and then go into my normal rotation to kill them. This is where I vary. I didn't run double time. Double time could be good. Honestly, any of these could be good. I would say Impending Victory is probably the worst, because you're going to get so many resets on Victory Rush. It really doesn't matter. It's all about killing stuff really fast at a certain time. I ran Stormbolt. I found this a very strong talent for dealing with whenever I couldn't interrupt the ads that channel. I'd Stormbolt 1, DPS 1 down. Like a great example is Agatha will cast her Absorb and her Fury. You have to interrupt that, so you can't do both. So I just found Stormbolt to be a nice little bit of a filler. A Massacre is a definite, super nice. This fight is pretty miserable until you get her in execute range, and then you're just smoking. Like it's really nice once you get there. So this is a must. I ran War Paint here. You're just going to be enraged a lot during this encounter. As I mentioned, there's a lot of different ads. So when you get that bloodthirst, you're just taking a lot of reduced damage most of the fight. I ran this Cruelty as well. While in Rage, Raging Blow deals 20% more damage and has increased chance to reset. You're just going to be enraged all the time, so it's just a good talent to have. Bladestorm, a must. 1 minute cooldown. I tried running Dragon Roar was awful. Would not recommend. I only did 2 pulls like that. That's how bad it was. I didn't try Meat Cleaver, but Blade Storm lines up exceptionally well for the big ad phases. Anger Management, I ran this as well. This was actually super important. You want to execute your rotation well enough to have Recklessness every time you Blade Storm. Let me say this again. You want to do your rotation well enough to have your cooldown of Recklessness up every single time you Blade Storm. Like it's super important. So now I'm going to dive right into the clip, and I'll talk about the fight, some things I did, and some challenges that I faced, and what my biggest issues were and how I overcame them. Alright, so first of all, you can fight this Agatha for a very long time. I think I had a wipe at almost 13 minutes at like 5%. So if you don't play very well, there is still the opportunity to beat it. Like, you can marathon it. I feel like, you know, if your warrior's got decent gear. So let's start the fight here. Here's the ads. You want to go ahead and use your Blade Storm. It's a bit better if you can get an Enrage off first. I'm pretty sure I already potted here. I want to do as much damage as I can. So these ads will spawn every 45 seconds, these Imp Servants. So it's really nice. You can just leap to them and cast your Piercing Howl and slow them. The Fuming Imps, a lot of people say don't worry about them. I was DPSing them down. I found the encounter to be much easier if you didn't have a bunch of pulls of bad. But they aren't as high priority as some others, but as soon as they start meleeing you, I believe they do start casting that Explode. Can be interrupted and can use Intimidating Shout to cancel as well. Here's her Dark Fury cast. So when this goes off, she's dealing pretty big damage to you, so you want to DPS that down and go ahead and interrupt it. That's pretty much the highest priority. You see the ads are coming. I'm going to go ahead and Recklessness and Blade Storm. One thing that really helped me is if you watch where you can kind of see where they're going to land. You see I use my Storm Bolt there. It just makes it a heck of a lot easier. This fight is literally all about doing ads really well. If you do the ads really well, the fight's not too bad. You don't really ever have to worry about dying. The point where it becomes difficult is if you don't do the ads very well, then it becomes pretty challenging. Like the longer the ads are up every minute is when it starts getting out of hand, especially when it overlaps with Dark Fury. I'm gonna leap out here. You can also, like, one thing I'll do since it took me a little bit to kill the ads. After I get one down, you see I go ahead and apply Hamstring. So the longer it takes for that person to get there, or that ad, should I say, the better it is for you. So here I am, Recklessness, Blade Storm again. I was a little slow on it, but it wasn't too bad. But basically that's the thing that will wipe you the most, is not being on top of that. Like, you want to... What I was doing was watching my Blade Storm cooldown on my weak warrior, as you can see, and I would kind of automatically know when they're going to come. But Deadly Boss Mods has a pack. It's called DBM Challenges, and it works really well for these Mage Tower encounters. Here's Dark Fury. Slow them when I can. I'll probably Storm Bolt one if I had to guess. Yep. DPS the one that's not stunned. So sometimes too, if you interrupt the servants in some way and you get in melee range of them, you can kind of like kite them out, which I found to be really nice. See, now I'm watching my Blade Storm cooldown, my Recklessness is up, and I'm gonna go ahead and pop these ads. I'm pretty sure, yep, some pulls get off. It's not optimal, but you can beat this with plenty of pulls going off. Like I mentioned before, it's just a lot easier if you don't have to worry about where you step. So I did prioritize the ads. Another Dark Fury cast. Whenever there's this overlap and they're right there instead of them channeling, that's kind of when I was saving my Intimidating Shout. Another great example there, when things get hairy with the shield, your Shattering Throw, it is a long cooldown, 3 minutes, but it will pretty much one-shot it. So that's what I went ahead and used there. So there's a lot of tools available to win this fight. Just for me personally, I wasn't a great Fury Warrior player, so I had quite a bit of a learning curve to beat the encounter. We're approaching phase 2, where Agatha will teleport up, and that's when the fight becomes more challenging. So straight in Recklessness and Blade Storm. You hear that going off, that's mainly because of I was standing in that pool of bad. That's what I was talking about. I think it does a little bit of damage to you and slows you, so it's kind of double bad. It gets off a little healing there, but not too bad. I'm waiting for my pummel. It's up. I'll go ahead and use it. That's the thing too, is like you don't want to interrupt the servants if Agatha's casting Dark Fury, because then you got to wait the full duration of your interrupt before you can actually get that. And the longer that channels, the worse it is. I'm pretty sure if you can see, Agatha has 15 stacks. Basically, it's increasing her damage. Also, another thing you can do is try to wait for a good timing before you phase her, because sometimes you'll get a really bad timing and it's just kind of over. You see, I wasn't super hot on the trigger there, so one got away for a little bit, but that wasn't too bad. In this phase 2, you're basically just dodging these balls. You can survive a hit by them, but they will do a significant chunk of damage. But the real bad part is that they stun you, so you're pretty much susceptible to the other mechanics of the fight. You have really good sustain as well, so I'm watching my HP here. I'm seeing them around 60%. I'm looking to do some victory rushes here to get my HP back up. You don't have to do it very often. It's about 25% of my health just for killing those guys. Also, you get the passive healing off of simply just doing your Bloodthirst rotation. Also, if you get into a bind, you can use your 2-minute cooldown defensive. I can't remember what it's called at the moment of making this, but it increases the healing from Bloodthirst, which is really nice. So she's approaching 35%. The fight's going to be getting a lot easier. She's translocating. Lucky for me, those imp servants are coming up, so there's no way that these guys are going to build a channel on the boss. The challenge about this location, and it's not as bad on a melee class, I did this on a elemental shaman as well, is that the balls will be coming, but it's a lot easier to move as a warrior. So I'm watching, I see that the ad should be coming up, my Blade Storm cooldown is almost up again. So now I'm thinking about Recklessness. You see I'm just pouring some damage into the boss. I'm trying to focus getting my enrage before that time. You see, just a smooth ads will make the fight go much simpler. And get some good damage. I go ahead and blow up the Fuming Imp here. You pretty much, like, once you can execute, you do so much damage, like, her shields just fall off. That's pretty much most of the fight. What I've noticed is she always translocates the same amount of times. I'm not sure. I think it's time-based and percent-based. So after a certain amount of time, she just translocates. And I wanted to say, on both my kills, she's went this route. So I feel like there's a good chance. I'm probably going to intimidating shout these guys if I had to guess. Yep. It's the time. Get Recklessness up. Just DPS these ads down. This is probably the worst part of the fight. They're getting a lot of damage out, but it's okay. As long as those ads don't stay up a super long time channeling, you're good. It's just when they have, like, like 10 seconds or more, just a free cast is pretty bad for you. So yeah, I think it's on a timer here. Another suggestion I want to make too is just always do the mechanics first before like trying to kill the boss, even though she might be low. Because I've had some wipes where I was like, oh, I'm gonna kill, and then I just ignored a mechanic, and then it bit me in the ass. So that one felt good. You see this the sigh of relief from the clip. Well, I'd be interested to know if you're having any issues with the Fury Warrior Mage Tower, and if you are, leave it in the comment section below. Also, would you like to see any more guides? Are there any other specializations you'd like to see? I've completed 5 so far. Looking forward to bringing some more content. So if you want to go ahead and leave that in the comment section below, I'll take a look at that. And also, if you would kindly like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And lastly, you can follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/OldSmitty. I'll leave a description for that in the description box below. So until next time, thanks for watching.